I see, and that worries me a little bit, the individualism we have in the society. So the first question is, what's good for me? The second.
Hello and welcome at the podcast from Noise to Sound. I hope you liked already our previous episodes, and I hope you subscribed to Spotify, YouTube, but also in LinkedIn, where I have the possibility to exchange with you information, but also articles that are relevant. So today I have a very special guest, a friend of mine, which I am allowed to say, but on the other side, one of the top 5 HR managers in Switzerland from my perspective as well. His energy is actually floating all over the room whenever he's around. So I'm really excited to have him today at our podcast. Hello, Alex Senn.
Hi, Dimi. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Actually, for me, a very special guest, as I mentioned before, because we know each other from before. We're good friends from one side. But on the other side, you are one of, as I mentioned, one of the top 5 HR managers in Switzerland. You have so many things that you have to have under your control. What does a manager, let's say, in HR, does in such a complex and very broad organization like you are at Siemens?
Yeah, agree. Siemens is a complex organization, but I would not now say that I'm more important than others, right? Everyone in HR and also in the business, they have challenging tasks. But yes, I have very kind of complex, but also very interesting, fascinating organization, and I'm globally responsible for HR, or we call it people in the organization. We'll come to that maybe later, why we call ourselves people in the organization. Globally responsible for a business called Siemens Smart Infrastructure, 70,000 people worldwide, over 150 countries. So it's quite an interesting job I have. I'm based here in Zug, by the way, the first headquarters outside Germany. And as a Swiss, I'm proud that headquarters outside Germany is in Switzerland, Zug.
Of course, and I think that's also a little bit the pedigree of Siemens. You know, Siemens. I've also worked in Siemens in my younger age. Siemens Celter in Erlangen, in Germany, and you could definitely see that this company is built in engineering. So, I mean, if you are a company built in engineering, of course, Switzerland you cannot avoid. You know, the skills and the culture helps a lot in any way, but also to find the right people. So, for me, it's also very important. Right now, you in HR have one of the biggest challenges that I can recall in the history, let's say, of the business that I am in. You have different generations with different cultures, Gen Z, millennials, and so on and so forth. You have the technology inputs on the other side, AI, digital transformation, automation, efficiency that you have to go through. How does a company like you, but also, you know, from the HR perspective, how is the best way to navigate all these challenges right now?
Let me start first with transformation. There was always transformation. Sometimes we forget that. There's nothing new, right? But I think the speed of change needed has accelerated. But there was always transformation. When Siemens is 177 years old, so was always successful, but always needed to transform. When you look at the business we were in 50, 60 years ago, and today it's a total different game.
Absolutely.
And we are in a pivotal change and transformation because we want to become one tech company. We will still be, we combined real and the digital, so there will still be factories producing products we sell, but there is much more technology come in. So that's why, and also AI, etc. So that's why we need to change and transform the business, and with that the people. And my role I have to play as HR is to make sure that we have people with a growth mindset from a culture perspective, that people want to learn, people want to unlearn, people don't see a change as risk and they want to pretend the past. No, they're eager to learn. It's fun to change, right? And this is most probably from a culture perspective the most important one. And second, and this is maybe, and when I look a little bit around in other companies, etc., and also for us, it's a new field we are entering, is the organizational development practice. We need to be much better, that we need to look at how to organize work, that we need to look into structure, that we need to have a holistic view. What needs to change, because it's not only the culture that needs to change, it's also maybe the business model, operating model, the structures we have, the processes, etc. So you need to have a holistic view what needs to change, and here definitely we have a task.
And of course, now as if that was easy, you have on top all the cultural change that happened after COVID. I mean, people have learned to work in different ways. They like they like to work remote. They want to be able to manage their own time a little bit better. So the old models have been really questioned very sharply. So is it something that you also account into? I mean, we see now in the media, of course, a lot of companies, big companies, try to come to previous models of work. And there's a lot of anxiety also in the markets for that, because the last 3-5 years, people have learned to work in a completely different way. How do you see that?
Thank you for bringing that topic, because it's a topic that keeps me awake sometimes these days or weeks. What we did in Siemens quite nice or good, that we started very early during the pandemic. We don't want to go back the way of working we had before the pandemic. So give the people the flexibility, empower them, trust them, and we then set the rule out. So 2 to 3 days mobile working. And back then, I said, hey, I couldn't care less, right? When and how, where you work. It's all about outcome. You can work at the beach, etc. And I said, okay, let's go for the 2 to 3 days, but you can maybe even stay more days at home. Today, Dimi, I look at that topic a little bit differently. And that's why we still stick to the rule of 2 to 3 days, the empowerment and the flexibility. But what we have learned over the last 2 years, that it has or can have a negative impact on culture and collaboration and also innovation. So that's why we need to find the balance, right? Because what we see today, when we look into the situation we have worldwide, by the way, it's not only a Swiss-specific topic, that people, they're not coming back 2 to 3 days. Maybe they're coming back 1 or 2 days. And we need to remind them what's good, what's in it for you to come to the office. That we also say it's not about all the time what's good for you, it's what's good for the team, what's good for the company. We need to learn that we need to give something back to the company. And culture also starts in a building, having discussions in the coffee corner, to collaborate, to come together, to innovate, workshop, but not coming back to the office and then you are always in virtual meetings. So then that's why we need to orchestrate that. So that's why, last comment is, we say these days, not 2 to 3 days mobile working, we say 2 to 3 back in the office. You have the flexibility, but people need to learn also to think about what can I give back to the team, to the company, and why it's maybe good to come to the office.
Yeah, I mean, that was the main issue for a lot of companies. They've seen already that the innovation has been slowed down. The culture could not be sustained. People were also not easy to measure the outcome also, if you're away and so on and so forth. And it's a huge discussion at the moment, but I would like to tie it a little bit to the generation as well. I mean, millennials and the baby boomers, they have learned a little bit different. Perhaps millennials are a little bit on the verge between, I've learned 9 to 5, but now I have to adapt to the remote work. Gen Z, they've learned to work remote. They don't, they brood there. So how do you see, you mentioned probably before, you don't call yourself HR, but people and organization. How do you explain that?
I don't know. I don't want to put people in boxes. This is maybe a first comment, because I see...
Fair point.
Jen said, why, whatever it is, they're acting like baby boomers and vice versa. And I see many 60 years old people, they are very innovative, very flexible, etc. And they are somehow still very, I would say, similar like Jen said, etc. So that's why, yes, but generally speaking, you have a point here that what I see, and that worries me a little bit, and I'm not talking Siemens specific, I'm talking now as a Swiss citizen, having contact with a lot of people, talk to a lot of people, and I have insights in other companies through my role at the Zuger Wirtschaftskammer, so Chamber of Commerce in Zug. So that's why I have also a view on Switzerland and Swiss companies in general. I see, and that worries me a little bit, the individualism we have in the society. So the first question is, what's good for me? The second question, what's good for me? And then maybe, yes, the company. And that we need to remind the people, this is not a good strategy. Mm-hmm. To be successful in a company, to be successful as a company, we need to find also here the middle ground. I'm a big believer in life balance, right? Because when someone has the right balance in life, then that person can perform, but also is happy at home, etc. So it's a good model, right? But we also need to invest. We need to work. We need to work hard that we can sustain the success we have here in Switzerland. Mm-hmm. And I see that at risk when we only have people, when we have many, many people, they're just asking what's good for me. No, the first question should be, when we're looking at the business side of life, what's good for the team? Mm-hmm. What kind of contribute to the company? Because we all get salary every month. Talk to an entrepreneur. They look at that topic differently. Look into startups. You don't need to explain them, come to the office. They meet every day. So this is a little bit what I would like to question. And we need to, and coming to your question, we need to bring the different generations together mm-hmm. and listen to each other and benefit from each other.
Well, that's not easy because I think, or at least what I observe sometimes is usually they I mean, if you put a Gen Z with a baby boomer, they feel like, oh, you don't understand me. You are too old or you are too young. That's a struggle that I see sometimes in conservative, I would say, cultural companies, to be honest. Mm. And I wanted to ask you there, I mean, we discussed before this podcast, 89% of the companies in Switzerland are small, medium enterprises. Very successful, the ones, and actually the ones that made Switzerland what it is today, not only the big companies, but these small, medium enterprises that have the Swiss DNA that we know from the quality standpoint of view. And they don't have right now the best tools, let's say, in quotes, to find the right people, to keep them. And they have to go culturally to the edge and say, work as you like as soon as you are here with us. So what would you give them as an advice? I mean, startups is one thing. Of course, they struggle as well. But these SMEs that they would like to sustain themselves, you know, and keep their legacy. Mm.
I believe we all need to learn, and that would be my recommendation to the mid-sized companies, to KMUs. We need to listen and to understand what are the people looking for, right? What makes an attractive workplace? Mm-hmm. To need to rethink also their way of working. So flexibility is at the very center, but at the same time also to set clear boundaries, because it also has then an impact on the culture. So that you definitely stay. Every company has a culture, and to explain why that culture is important to run that business. And I believe we need to enter the dialogue also with candidates to explain, because I'm not 100% sure if then also the young generations, etc., when you explain to them, but also listen to them, and then you find a mutual agreement where we can meet together. So that's why my big advice is flexibility, and then hiring through networks. This is always the best way of recruiting. Mm-hmm. You need to go out. You need to. I'm always telling also in Siemens, our people, every one of us is also a salesperson.
Yep.
When it comes to recruiting. So when you then really give that clear message, you have a task here. You can help us to find the right people. We all know people. We all know we have networks now with social media, even bigger. then we need to manage that network. And through network, you can bring a lot of people on board. And at the very center is the culture. So also maybe rethink your culture. Maybe you have already good culture that people want to join. Okay. But if not, then you need to change. And then this is maybe the biggest problem then. The top leaders, they need to rethink what they need to change if they set to the foundation of culture that's attractive for people.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you on that. But you give me a nice feed for my next question. I remember when we were together 7-8 years before. I had no social media and no LinkedIn and everything. You said, Timmy, I don't care if you like it or not. That's the way. So I said, okay, if Alex mentioned, so I will try it. Of course, how often, how much do you recruit over LinkedIn or like social media? Let's say I would put LinkedIn in the center because it's a professional network. Let's say, how important is that to you, to your process?
This is absolutely key. I mean, now this is the benefit of being such a global player. We have an own exec search team, so we don't give that many mandates to headhunters anymore because we do it ourselves. So there is technology around. You can easily find the candidates through the social media, through LinkedIn, etc. And then we directly contact them in a very direct, personal way. And then we bring people together and let them. It starts with the get to know, and then you create that interest, maybe hopefully on both sides, and then you can start an official process. So it's absolutely key. And now, mid-sized company are listening, but we can't afford to set up an exec search team who does that. Agree, but you can also train your people how they can navigate through LinkedIn. And I believe every leader should spend a percentage of their weekly, monthly work to connect with people, to go out, to talk, to sell. So that's my key message. This that no costs come with that. Yes, you need to invest. This is costs, but no additional costs when it comes to cash. I believe when we have a problem to bring the right people on board, then we all have a task to do to go out, network, and identify the people we want to hire.
That's perfect. I mean, I find it very important that this message comes out from your mouth. Let's say that such a platform is available, not just in Siemens, but to everyone out there in SMEs and so on and so forth.
Can I add something? Sure. Because candidate experience is the other favorite topic.
Yeah, absolutely.
How companies sometimes treat candidates, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
And what we forget, these people, after such an experience, they will talk not in a good way about your company. And everyone knows people, and this is then the top topic. So whenever you have a candidate, even the candidate is not good or not a good fit for the job, treat them the right way. And also be transparent. You need to be open and honest with them, because when they have a good experience, then they talk positive about your company.
Even if it's a negative result.
Exactly.
And what I want to say is also speed is of an essence today. I mean, I have personally also experienced, but I have heard also from others, you like a company so much or you like a position so much, but this process takes 3 months. Of course, no one will have a good feeling about it. So speed is definitely of an essence also in this process.
Very good point. Absolute important point. Speed. Another one I have, and as an idea for people who are really lacking talents, etc., or can't fill the positions, is hiring with a growth mindset. What do I mean by that?
Yeah.
Companies are looking for the perfect fit. Why not looking especially for mindset and the engagement attitude? People can learn almost everything. So why not bring someone on board who does not have the skills, but then think about what can we do to close the gap? This is sometimes that. Just keep the open position for 6-9 months open to look for the perfect candidate. And maybe it's totally stupid, because maybe it's much better to bring, I don't know, to hire Dimi with a certain gap, and then re- and upskilling initiatives, and then you have the best person with highly motivated, engaged.
That's for sure. And you give me again the lead in for another question. I mean, what is a skill that you find essential for a person to say, that is for me a go or no go. I mean, that's something that you search always in a candidate. I mean, skills, the technical skills, let's say, for the job, it's obvious and clear and measurable and all is fine. But on the soft skills, that we call it soft skills, or the social skills, what is that the point where you say, this is for me so essential when I look for a candidate, and especially when you, I mean, from your role, you also hire executives for Siemens. So what do you find so essential in the soft skills? I say, this is important, must have.
Must have is, for me, low ego. To start with low ego.
How do you see a person with low ego? I mean, how do you, I mean, in an interview, let's say, where is it?
If someone only talks about himself and not about the team. And I mean, you see it how he also when he talks about leadership, and you sense if he's like a high or low ego. So that's why low ego, because it's again, right? It's not about it's about the company. This first, and the second one is it's really the motivation and the drive, the interest to the job. And you can also feel that, right? Is that person really, or she really looking just for a job and to have a salary, or is there's more behind, right?
Impact, to bring impact.
So really someone who wants to achieve something. I think these are maybe the most, because if you have someone who is really going the extra mile and wants to learn and wants to dig deep and also challenge maybe the status quo, these are the people we're looking for.
That's absolutely essential. I wouldn't agree more also on this point. Ego is it's toxic, it's central, so it will pop out in a difficult situation when a difficult situation comes. So it's very important that you sense it in the beginning.
Because when we're talking these days leadership, I mean, you can't have a leader, a manager in a leadership position with a high ego.
Yeah.
Because you miss, because then you create an atmosphere that's all about the leader. No, it's not about me, by the way. Mm-hmm. It's about my team to make them successful. And I'm proud when my people to grow out of their position, take next steps, etc. Or if I then realize, oh, now I myself should really step aside to make someone of my team the opportunity of a next step, right? This is leadership. Mm-hmm. And I think we all need to realize that.
And also, it's important for the retention of people also. For example, that you as a leader don't always stay in the light, but give space to the people to be in the lights with you or in front. I mean, you have achieved what you have already achieved, but of course, they have to have their space. But I will be a little bit more provocative now. I mean, Siemens is a big tanker. It's not the most flexible one because it's not small, not because you can't. But therefore, you mentioned before, my role, I see it as people's and transformation, right? So transformation for me is I am in the steering wheel and I'm trying to steer this ship somehow. So it's not so easy. Where do you find in such organization divisions? I mean, even in Siemens, a division is 70,000 people. How do you go through such a process to navigate this ship, the big ship? Because if it's not navigated correctly, we have seen it with other big companies, you can crash with it. And if it crashes, it will have a huge impact, not for the work of some people, but on society sometimes.
Absolutely. I mean, the most important is that you have a holistic view on what. So first of all, what you want to achieve, right? What is your ambition, your North Star, right? This is what you need to aware. What is the target, right? You want to achieve, or what should change, and then you need to have a holistic view on. We call it OD framework that helps us, right, to identify, to have a holistic view. What needs to change, and then
what is the OD framework?
This is a model we're using to have a holistic view, to look into everything. For example, structure, processes. It starts with business impact. What do you often achieve? And then is the right business model, etc. Do you need to question the business model? Then processes, structures, leadership, mindset. So you need to really go through all of that to change everything. Because when you only try to change the structure and you don't work on the mindset and leadership culture, then you fail. When you only let me give an example. When collaboration is definitely for all companies important, but when you only think you can move the company into really a collaborating company only with looking into the mindset and leadership part, you fail because maybe your processes are hindering collaboration. Maybe your incentive scheme hinders collaboration. So this is what I mean, right? You need to have a holistic view.
That's a fair point. The thing with the let's say your performance and the performance that you get, your bonuses or your payments and so on and so forth, can also hinder innovation. I mean, we have seen it.
Innovation.
It's crazy but we have seen it a lot of times. It was not so obvious for me the last years.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe a second point of you need to have a holistic view, etc. I think you need to have a framework that you do it properly, the right way. But secondly, it's also that you identify the leaders you trust they really are able to transform. So we call that P&O initiative, we have Leaders Who Transform. So you need to assess very clearly the top management, the first two layers. Are these people willing first to start rethinking their way of working themselves, what they need to change? Because transformation starts with yourself.
Absolutely.
And then you need to be very brutal honest, show in the mirror and say, I'm already on the level of what's needed. Can I do that change or not? I think this is very key. And then you need really to have the role models who bring everyone along the transformation journey.
Well, I would like to put another example here. I'm a manager at Siemens. I have meetings back to back. I mean, my job is demanding. Now, I have two problems. One is time to think. When I have space to think, so I mean, if you have meetings so often, you don't have you need the time to think. And the second is, when do I evolve? When do I find the time to learn something new? For example, if I'm a manager at Siemens or another company, I'm just saying it as an example. And I have my line of business and I know my underline very well and everything. But now AI comes, for example, or new technologies come, which I have to somehow have an understanding of it. How do I do that? I mean, I cannot stop the business. Yep. Everyone needs me somehow. How do we do it?
DB, 100% agree. We work very hard every week, but every one of us, and also in Siemens, they have time. But the key question is, do they take the time? This is a conscious choice to invest in learning, for example. And what we did, maybe this is a good example, that we said learning is a priority. So that's why one of the 4 strategic priorities, and not talking about P&O, I'm talking business, is growth mindset. And behind that we need to learn, to unlearn, to learn new skills. And then we set targets, learning targets, and it's measured. So when you open your laptop, you see in the morning, you see how many learning hours do you have compared to others. And there's target out there, and it's incentivized then at the end of the day for the top management. So that gives us now really the power. And then we have, invested very much in the learning world, where you have dedicated trainings per job family, etc. So I think with that you can trigger the learning, because it's also sometimes a habit. You need to create the habit that learning is an everyday or every week. Second topic, and this is very, very true, right? We're all in the middle of operational hectic, etc., and then the time of thinking is missing. What we do in our team, I have every second week a call, 1.5 hours, up in the balcony, it's called.
All right.
People can join or cannot join, but it gives me a blocker myself to join that call, and then we reflect what happened the last 2 weeks. What have we learned? Looking from the balcony to the organization, or
I thought you were talking about the real balcony.
No, it's just a metaphor, right?
But it's true.
You need to have
bird's eye view.
You need the outside view to look what's going on, and this is wonderful. And this is then the 1.5 hours you can really. And sometimes, Timmy, I don't join the call because I need the 1.5 hours for myself.
Oh,
and then I really think what happened, right? Where are missing pieces? This is very true. And again, everyone now listening, challenge your agenda, challenge your calendar, challenge the meetings you have. How long are the meetings set up? is that true? Do you really need to attend all these meetings? Sometimes when I'm in a meeting with 20 people, I would laugh, and sometimes I ask a question, why is everyone here?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I remember one of my time at Google, I mean, there was this guideline that came, if you don't think you have to bring something into this meeting,
Leave.
just leave.
Yeah, good.
And I mean,
like it.
and in the beginning, it felt very rude because you don't do it in life. If you are in a bunch of people, you just don't go away. In a virtual world, it's a little bit different, but you do a favor to the company, you do a favor to yourself. And honestly, if someone needs you, they can pull you in. I mean, so what at this time was, in my eyes, very rude, it happened to be actually very effective.
Absolutely.
So for me, I want to take you back to another very important point from my perspective for Switzerland. And I mean, you are one of the right persons to give us a little bit insights there. We have every business person you talk, every company that you talk, they have this employee shortage, the Fachkräftemangel, as we call it in German. So every company is missing skilled people or people in general. I mean, independent if it's first line workers, white collars, you name it. So, and on the same time, of course, we see that the number of students in the universities, they go down. So the younger generation doesn't really want to study somehow. So they rely a little bit more on the companies, but the companies, on the other hand, they have to move forward. So they need the people that have a little bit of a foundational training. Mm-hmm. So how do you see, I mean, of course, you have heard that as well. So how do you see that for Switzerland? I mean, what's your perspective here?
I mean, that worries me very much, because now as a global company, I mean, we have the flexibility, and then if we can't find the people here, then we move certain jobs out of Switzerland. This is the benefit of a global company. But what do then the mid-sized companies do, and the smaller companies? They have really a problem. So that's why, I don't know, that worries me, because I think to study gives an amazing foundation, as you call it, because then you have really the time to think what you wanted to do. And I mean, study, not now do the gymnasium, etc. You can also start doing a Lehre, and then Fachhochschule later. So this is the beauty of the Swiss system, that you can achieve everything, but hey, you have only one life. You have one life. Do something, and the foundation is so important. You don't want to turn 30 and 35 and say, oh shit, maybe I could have done something different, more out of my life. I'm not now saying that business and professional life is more important than private life. No. But find your sweet spot where you really start into the week and say, wow, cool, Monday, let's go to work. Mm-hmm. This is what I learned from my father, by the way. He always loved to go working. I think that had a deep impact, and I found my way to find my profession. I love go to work. I love my kids. I love my family. All good. But I also love to work. Mm-hmm. I'm not, thank God it's Friday. Oh shit, Monday. No, it's not. It's really balanced. And I had the freedom to choose then also a little bit, because I invested in my study. I did studies, different studies that helped me. Otherwise, you narrow your opportunities to a very small.
Yeah, I fully agree here, and I mean, the way I know you, for me, you are HR. I mean, if someone spends time with you, you are HR. So you live HR, you breathe HR. But one of the points is that when we talk about younger generations, but also, millennials, but also a little bit older as well, one of the things that everyone is worried a little bit at the moment is the introduction of AI, and if jobs they will be lost, yes or no, and what is going to happen if the world will change in 5 years. So there's no big intention, or don't mind if you study or not. It will be different anyway in 2 years or 3 years, and AI will change everything. I mean, do you support such thoughts? I mean,
No.
Do you think really technology and AI will really eat our jobs, let's say, the way media is presenting?
Yeah, I mean, AI will eat some of the jobs, but there are different skills needed, because you don't want to give everything to AI, right? So, and maybe then to study will become even more important. This is so it should be the other way around. Oh, AI is coming, not coming, already here. So that's why you need more high qualified jobs than maybe other jobs. So that's why and it's interesting. So I'm also wondering and questioning. You should not only study because you want to have big salary and a big job. You should also study because it's really cool and once in a lifetime to dig deep into a topic, to have the conversations within a class with colleagues, because this is also important to do together projects, etc. So I really can't understand if someone really doesn't want to hop on that train, because when I look back, that helped me a lot, and it was such a cool time.
Of course, and I think that's what I try sometimes also to convey to the students. You don't study just to learn something. You study to network, to exchange with people, and that brings you further when you have a question and you know where you build this social network of common interest friends that they will help you and awake you when you are in a doubt. You know, as AI, if it's the right path, I'm the right path, is the job that I like. Yes, there will be changes, and as you mentioned, I think there will be changes in jobs that might have different types of skills, but I don't see, let's say, an emergency, let's say, in these terms in the society. Well, I want to go back a little bit on yourself. I mean, I know you for quite some years, but on the other side, I would like to ask you, if we talk about Alex, how does Alex navigate change for himself? How do you manage change? I mean, you said you're in love with your job as well. You have a balance, but to stay in love, like in private, you need to adapt. You need to change. You need to evolve. So, how does Alex do it? Let us get a little bit more inspired.
Alex tries to stay humble and always reflect, or very often reflecting, what do I like? Looking at Alex, what I don't like. And this is now not only professional, also definitely in private life, to assess myself, my husband qualities, or I am as a husband, as a father, especially as a father. And I changed. I would not say my personality, but I worked hard and I invested a lot, right? Really. I mean, reading books, now it's more podcasts. I also needed to learn to find my inner self, to stay in the balance, because I mean, we all know our body, how he reacts, the body, or when we're anger is something,
or stress.
Or stress. This is something is not good, right? So then you need to think about what happened, what can I learn out of that situation. How can I get out of that situation? And maybe one key takeaway for me personally was a little bit under stress, right, with 3 kids and quite a heavy job, and also my wife did their studies at that time. Then I realized, now it's getting too much, and I realized I give everything to the job, everything to the family, etc., but there was not much left for me. And then I realized and then I had a session with myself that, what do I miss? What did I do in the past when I had no family, etc.? And then I was big into football. I played football myself. Now I'm too old to playing again, because turning 50 next year. So it would be too dangerous. But I love to go to a stadium and watch my football club. And I started doing it again. And that gave me so much of energy power back, that I'm much more relaxed also at home with the kids, etc. Because you also need to feed your energy level. So to find your spot where you can do good for you, because then you're able to do good for others.
That's actually that's a very nice statement to wrap it up in terms of that you need to feed your energy. I feel that as well. I mean, I'm doing myself a lot of things, but it's exactly how I feel for myself. So you need to feed your energy that you can give it back. That's absolutely fair. But before we close, I mean, you have so much interaction with people, you hire a lot of people, high and executive, but also setting the scene and the strategy for an organization like Siemens. You see other companies in the sites. I mean, if someone hears this podcast and he's ready or she's ready for a change or starts a career, what would you propose after your more than 20 years of experience there in HR?
first is to really think it through what you want to do. So what is the field you want to start your career? Is the beginning of the career, or if you want to change the gears into another direction? So really what do you want to do is most of importance, right? And then talk to people and build a network in that area, and to dig deeper. What is it all about to work in that job family, for that company, in that whatever it is? And then you get closer to it. And the beauty is, if you talk to people in that field, then you create a network and a relationship, because I think it's always good, right? We have the normal process, open jobs, you can apply, etc. All good. Mm-hmm. But I think there are also sometimes way of getting a job. And please don't do it the stupid way, send to the CEO, to the head HR, the CV. I mean, this is, I don't know. You need to talk to people. You need to show interest. You need to go to a company's event, etc. And then you get closer to that ambition or what you want to do. So I would say invest in your network in a good way, so that you really want to do it and love to do it, to talk to people, and then you get closer to the network that is maybe then helpful for you to get a job in the future.
Perfect. Thank you very, very much, Alex, for being today here with us and giving all these insights. I find it personally very insightful, because these questions about Switzerland, the small, medium enterprise, how jobs will change, the culture, actually coming from it's very insightful in any way. Thank you really much that you have been here.
Thank you very much.
Perfect. So I hope you enjoyed as well as Alex. Please subscribe and download the podcast as well. And if you like, send me a feedback as well. I'm very active also in LinkedIn. In any case, and try to motivate us as well, or give us a feedback. Who else should we invite in this podcast? What is your interest? Until then, I wish you all best of luck and stay healthy, and see you in the next episode.